Today I would like to show you a game called Call to Adventure, the Stormlight Archive. And this is a game based on Brandon Sanderson's saga Stormlight Archive, a fantasy series of books. And in this game, Call to Adventure, you will be able to, relive some stories and from the books, and you will be able to meet some characters that maybe from Sanderson's saga. And this is a Call to Adventure game. I have the first edition here on my shelf, and Call to Adventure is a book where you basically create a hero. You start with your origin, motivation and destiny cards, and then you will face different challenges and some enemies to create your own story. You will have some runes that you will have to cast, because in this game you don't use dice, you use runes. I will show them how they look like when we open the box. And you just toss the runes on your table, and depending on the sides the runes show, you have success or failure, or you can get different cards and stuff like this. I really love the first Call to Adventure game, because this is kind of lighter game. If you want a game like Gloomhaven, I mean a game with complexity of Gloomhaven, you should maybe look elsewhere. But if you like a game with great art and some nice stories that you have to imagine the stories in a way, because the cards that you get here, they hint you with some events or with some things that can happen to your character. But the gameplay is really solid. It's a game that you can finish in maybe half an hour or maybe an hour maximum, depending on the player count. And I love the first edition of Call to Adventure. This edition is a standalone game. You don't need the first game. It shares the same gameplay. Mostly there are some differences, but we'll talk about them a little later. So if you know the Call to Adventure, the first game, we have no problems playing this game, this edition. And this game can be played competitively, where every player creates his own character, and then you compete, and the person who gets most points wins the game. Then you have the cooperative play and solo game and solo play. You have an arch enemy that you have to defeat. Here the arch enemy is called Odium. If you know Sanderson's books, you will probably know what it is exactly. I didn't have a chance to read Stormlight Archive, but I downloaded the books on my Kindle and I plan to read them. I'm not sure how I will succeed, because they are thick books. Every book is like 1000 pages long, but I will try to read them. I love fantasy. And okay, but when you play solo or co-op, you don't compete with each other, but you have to defeat the arch enemy. And this is really nice, because the gameplay is a little different, because you have to in a way focus on building your character, but you also have to think about the final battle and about defeating the arch enemy. So this is really cool. The game has great art and great production value, but you will see it when we open the box. So let's look what's inside. This is the back. I will show you. You have the runes here, some cards, some art. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 13 plus, and about 30 to 60 minutes, probably depending on the player count. So let's open the book. Let's open the box. You can open the books, your books, when we finish this video, but let's open the box and let's take a look at the components, and I will talk a little about the gameplay of the game. Okay, so let's unbox Call to Adventure Stormlight Archive. This is the box, and let's take a look what's inside. On the back already you can see some art of the cards. You can see the runes that you will have to cast in order to overcome different challenges. Okay, this is the box here from every side. As I said before, 1 to 4 players, ages 13 plus, 30 to 60 minutes. The art on the cover is really nice. It shows, you know, two sides of the conflict. There was a similar box on the original Call to Adventure game. You know, it corresponds to the game where you can gain a triumph or tragedy points depending on the, you know, story of your character. And this is what? This is a rulebook. The rulebook is not very long. It's 18 pages, but it has a lot of examples how to play the game. It's written really well. You shouldn't have any problems understanding how to play the game. It includes the co-op, also the co-op rules, the solo play. Here you can see facing odium, solo and co-op play. You even have some glossary and some frequently asked questions. So if you have any, you know, questions, you might look at the end of the rulebook to find them probably. And there's also information how to combine both games, because there's an option to combine cards from this edition and from the first Call to Adventure game. Maybe it will not make much sense thematically and story-wise, because this game is about the Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive. The first Call to Adventure was like, you know, just a, you know, generic, let's say generic fantasy game, not set in any world from a book. But you can combine these games and have more cards to, you know, to use. This is nice. This is some information about the book, about the story, because probably some of you will buy the game because they know the Stormlight Archive saga. Some of you will buy the game because they like Call to Adventure. Some may just like the cover art. But if you are not familiar with Stormlight Archive, this is a nice addition, because you can read more about the story and about the world. Here we have some experience tokens that we can gain through the game. In the first edition there were like some small plastic gems. Here we have some cardboard ones. This is cool. You can, you know, you gain them through the game, and then you can use them on different things during your gameplay. And also your arch enemy Odium uses them to, you know, gain strength. Here we have some leaflet about Call to Adventure. The Name of the Wind. This was an expansion for the original Call to Adventure. It was based on King Killer Chronicle by Patrick Rothfuss. Sorry if I spelled the name wrong. I don't know anything about this saga, and I didn't have a chance to play this expansion. But this is, in general, with Call to Adventure, this is a cool idea, because they have Brotherwise Games, the company that created Call to Adventure. They have this whole system, the game system, where you have runes, where you create different characters, and the gameplay mechanics, and they use them to tell stories from different franchises. And there is an endless options for them, because I can imagine having Call to Adventure Lord of the Rings maybe, or Call to Adventure Dragonlance maybe, or Call to Adventure Game of Thrones. There are a lot of options. But okay, coming back to the unboxing. Sorry, I talked too much. These are the player boards, where you put your cards. This is a place for origin cards, for motivation cards, and for destinies. Here we'll also put the challenges that you managed to overcome. You have some hints about the runes, what symbol means what exactly, because if you cast the runes, you have no dice in this game. You just throw the runes on the table on dice tray, and depending on the result, on the the graphic on the rune, sometimes it means success, sometimes you can draw a card, sometimes you can gain experience token, sometimes this is like dark rune, you can use them, and then you move one step down on the corruption track. Corruption track is here. It gives you some tragedy here, or triumph points at the end of the game, but also depending where you are on the corruption track, sometimes you can gain hero cards or anti-hero cards in the game. You have 4 of them. They look a little different. They have different colors here and some elements here and there, but they are all the same. Let's put them here. And here we have the runes. I will open them. This is nice because they are in a tray, so it's easy to store them in the box. They will not be loose in the box when you put the box on the shelf. But also it's nice because you can put it on the table and just take the runes from this tray. And the runes looks like this. You have different runes. Every rune corresponds to different characteristics. Like you have strength, and you have dexterity and constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and so on. They correspond to your character's attributes, and when you have a challenge, you take the runes that are corresponding to your character, and that are shown on the challenge card, and you have to cast them, and then you see if you have success or not. Here you have you can take, for example, experience token, and so on and so on. Here are the dark runes. They look really cool. They are made from plastic, but the feel is like they are from stone, maybe. Maybe the weight is not right, but they are really nice to touch. And here you use this to track your corruption level on the player boards, here. So here we have the runes. Nice tray. And here is the score sheet, where you can calculate your final score depending on the triumph points and tragedy points, experience, cards, hero cards, anti-hero cards. Then you also can collect sets during the game, and if you have sets of the same symbols on different cards, then you can get additional points. This is very helpful because you can get points from different things, and it's easier to write everything down and calculate your final score. As you can also see, the tray here, everything has its place. It's really nice because you can put everything back in the box, and the setup of the game is really quick. You just take the cards you need, and this is it. Now we can open some cards because the art is really nice. I think especially if you are a fan of the Stormlight Archive books, it will be a treat for you, because you will probably recognize some of the characters and maybe stories, maybe events that are in the book. The cards are mixed, but here you can see these cards without the act number are this is like destiny card, and this is motivation card. When you start the game, you give one origin card, two origin cards, 2 motivation cards, and 2 destiny cards to each player. They choose one, and they are like your basic stats. Let me show you. Maybe let's open all the cards so it will be easier to show you. You can see that there are really a lot of cards here, and they are, you know, they are quite big, not a regular cards. And you have more and more and more cards. And let me find this. This is like an origin card. And so at the start of the game you have your origin, motivation, and, you know, destiny card. And, you know, as I said before, like for example, this is the origin card, and it tells you your starting abilities. So when you apart from some basic runes, you also get these additional runes when you try to overcome a challenge. And this tells a story, because for example, with these cards you can say that you started as a healer, and then you were trained by a master, and in the end you were a true watcher. And the challenges you overcome, maybe the allies you will get through the game, they will also add some, you know, more information about your story. And when you finish a game, you can try to tell all the things that happened to your character during the game. The game is like separated into 3 acts. In every act you need to face 3 challenges, and depending on the challenges you have to do different things. You can choose different options. Maybe there are some allies inside, some enemies, you know, you have to fight. And in every act you get 3 challenge cards that you must, like 3 challenges that you must accomplish. So in the end you have 9, 3 from Act 1, 3 challenges from Act 2, and 3 from Act 3. And then if you play in cooperative, not cooperative, competitive play, you will calculate your final score, and the player with most points wins. If you play solo game or co-op play, then when you have your 9 you know, cards, apart from the starting cards, then you can try to defeat the Odium, the final, you know, arch enemy, and to win the game. As you can see, the art is awesome. In the first Call to Adventure game, the art was also really nice, and I would love to get an art book from this game. But let me show you something. Here you have a challenge card, and depending, you know, on the card, it says that you can use this kind and this kind of runes, and you need to get 4 successes to get this card. And depending on which path you choose, you can gain different bonuses and benefits from this card. Like here you get a hero card and this kind of rune, and here you get the symbol that at the end of the game can give you additional points by collecting sets, and this rune. So depending on your strategy, you know, and on your character, and maybe on the runes you have here, in every act you have 4 cards you can choose from. Then if you win 1 challenge, a new card comes out. So every time you have 4 cards to choose from. So you have to choose, you know, wisely. Some challenges will be probably impossible for you to, you know, overcome and to win, because you will not have the necessary runes to win them. So you have to choose, you know, the ones that fit your character. And, you know, destroy evil, windrunner, see disturbing visions. Really nice. I haven't read the Stormlight Archive, so it's hard for me to, you know, say which cards correspond to which stories, or, you know, characters maybe in the game. But if you know the books, it will be fun for you to, you know, recognize maybe some characters or events from the books. I wanted to find something here. Some cards, like this one for example, you can get if you achieve the text here. Like you may only gain this trait if you have at least this symbols, or this symbols on your cards on your player board. So this challenge doesn't require you to cast the runes. You can claim it if you meet the the requirements written on at the bottom of the card. And I wanted to show you also some allies. I'm not sure if I will find them. Where are they? Where are they? Because allies are something you can also get. Okay, this is like for the solo play. Cards are mixed, so it's not easy to find everything. Okay, but this is an ally. And an ally is a card that you put on the side. It doesn't count in the free act cards that you need to gain. And allies give you some additional, bonuses during the game. Like once per turn, you may spend experience to add these runes to your next attempt. Then, if you fail, you may gain corruption and sacrifice this ally to make a reattempt. So this ally allows you to, to try to overcome, to win a challenge second time. Art is awesome, really, really, really awesome. And look, there are tons and tons of cards here. And the last thing that we have in the box are some, let me try to open it. Where's my knife? The last thing we have here are the hero cards and anti-hero cards that you can get in the game. They allow you to you can use them for some specific actions. Some of them are maybe have more use in competitive play, where you can they can influence your opponent. Some cards are good for you because they give you some, like choose a hero to gain a free radiant symbols until end of the turn, or play this in response to an anti-hero card, ignore the card effect. So you can gain these cards during your play, during your game, and you can use them sometimes to win a challenge. Sometimes they will give you some additional like bonuses, like maybe more experience points, or they will give you some additional runes. Or for example, Stormlight, choose any hero to gain 1 experience, and that hero may spend up to 3 experience to gain that much radiant symbol until end of the turn. So as you can see, tons of cards, tons of everything. And as I said, it's really nice. The cards are mixed now, but you can separate them by act, and you can store them like, I don't want to go inside, like act 1, you can put act 2 here, act 3, then you can put the runes back in the box. Here is a place for the experience tokens. So you can store everything in the box, and that's really nice because the game takes 30 minutes, the setup takes 5 minutes tops, and this is a really, really cool game if you don't have 3 hours to play a huge fantasy game, but you still want to play something really nice. And maybe if you like to play RPGs, and if you want to find some ideas for some stories, or maybe for character creation, that's also a great game because you can play the game and write down your characters, challenges that you had, or your the cards you get in the game, and they will create a cool story that you can use in maybe an RPG game next time you play it. So this is nice. This is how Call to Adventure Stormlight Archive looks like. A great game, I hope. I love Call to Adventure, the first edition. this game has the same gameplay, so I will probably, like it as well. Thank you for watching. Visit me on, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and see you next time. Bye.